Good evening. At this time, I'd like to call to order the regularly scheduled council meeting of the city of Twinsburg. Shannon, would you call the roll, please?
Fury?
Yes, I'm
Post?
here.
Here.
Mrs. Labby? Here. Mr. Bonacci?
Here.
Mrs. Walker? Present. Mr. Barr?
Here.
Mr. Bellin?
All right. If we could stand now to hear the invocation and pledge of allegiance led by Mrs. Labby.
Father, you guide and govern everything with love and order. Look upon the assembly of our city leaders and fill them with the spirit of your wisdom. May they always act in accordance with your will, and their decisions be for the peace and well-being of all. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Has everybody had a chance to review the minutes from our January 9th meeting?
Make a motion to approve the minutes from the January 9th council meeting.
All right, Mr. Post made a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Yield. Mrs. Labby, second. Any discussion? Shannon, would you call the roll?
Mr. Post?
Yes.
Mrs. Labby?
Yes.
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Bonacci?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
Okay, the minutes are approved 6-0. Mayor, are there any awards or presentations this evening?
No, they're not.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And we do not have any audience participation that I can see. Mrs. Collins?
There
Thank
is
you.
none.
Come on, say something. Say something.
All right. We're going to move on to council communications. Do you mind if we start with Scott Barr? We're going to go this way, or do you want to go this way?
I'm good. No, I'm ready to
Yeah,
go. Good
go.
evening, everyone. Thank you, Mr. Fury. Since our last meeting, I did have the opportunity to attend tonight's Finance Committee meeting. We did elect a chair and vice chair, and I will let Mr. Post, the vice chair, report on this evening's meeting. Last night, I did attend the Planning Commission meeting. There were several items on the agenda. The first item of which was a lot consolidation for 3 parcels on East Aurora Road. So this area is over on the south side of East Aurora Road, over by Grand Village, a retirement home, and the applicant wants to put these 3 parcels together to make a 1.7 or 1.8 roughly acre site so that they can put a daycare on the facility, or on the site. That goes along with the second item, which was the final site plan approval for the daycare. It should be noted that although there were a couple of conditions, that both the lot consolidation and the final site plan for the daycare passed unanimously 3-0. So that would be good to see that. And then the size of the new building is roughly 13,582 square feet. So it'll be good to see that daycare go in there. And again, that's over by Grand Village, that vacant property just on the south side, East Aurora Road. Pepperell Fuchs is hoping to expand their facility and relocate a significant portion of their North American headquarters here in Twinsburg. And there was a final site plan on the agenda for 8093 Darrell Road. This is down on the east side of Darrell Road, over sort of by the CVS Stub Road at the south end of town. They are looking at a 26,000 square foot building that is going to be built in 2 phases. And that site plan with a few conditions, all routine, was approved 3-0 as well. Finally, last evening, Mr. Vizana and Mayor Scafidi were here to present some of the zoning code amendments, reference Chapter 1197, specifically the administration and enforcement and penalties section of that. Mr. Vizana did an excellent job laying it out to the members of the commission, I mean, as he has done with us, that he is looking for some consistency. Things were, I mean, a mess. I've had the opportunity to review that. It was just hodgepodge. Nothing really made sense. this is a consistent, reasonable, I'm going to call it modern-day approach to the enforcement of our, building and zoning codes. And I commend both the mayor and Mr. Vazana for taking on this task to kind of bring us up to where things should be. So that also passed 3-0 unanimously to go to council for a vote. So we should be seeing that. Other than that, the next meeting of the Planning Commission is scheduled for February 26th, which is a Monday at 7 p.m. at council chambers. That concludes my report, Mr. Fury. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Bonacci.
Good evening. None of my committees or boards have met since our last meeting. I did attend the finance meeting with the rest of council that's here tonight. It was interesting. We'll let David report on that. The BZA meeting that was scheduled for tomorrow is canceled because there's a lack of agenda items. So the next BZA meeting is scheduled for February 28th. Concludes my report.
Thank you. Mrs. Walker.
Good evening, everyone. As far as the community relations meeting, Shannon Collins attended that meeting, so if you want to report on it, Shannon, it's okay. Bill will then.
Yes.
Okay, all right.
Take
And-
that.
I just have to pull my notes in.
Got out of that one quickly. And also, the JEDI Committee, I mentioned earlier about some of the things that we're going to do. I will be meeting with another committee, and they will be working on a program that they're going to have at the high school, and also work with Mrs. Powers on that. So when I get that information, I'll be reporting that at our next council meeting. Thank you, that's all I have.
Thank you. Mr. Post?
Thank you. I did attend the finance meeting, and there were some highlights here. I just want to say Christina Conway did just a glorious, glorious job, and we are so blessed to have her here in the city of Twinsburg. The general fund started at roughly $15,800,000, and it ended at roughly $21,365,000, so that went up. Our total funds went from beginning of the year 2023 from $34.5 million to roughly $36.5 million. So all of the funds went up, which is fabulous. We did receive an ARPA grant, which COVID relief money of roughly $1.1 million, which is great. RETA estimate increased $1.2 million. Other notable increases were interest income went up, sewer fee balance went up, green fees went up almost $100,000 more. So long story short, everything's moving in the right direction on all fronts. And one other notable item is that of the budgeted money from departments, the departments on average only used 84% of their budgeted money, which is a testament to our department heads and how they don't spend money frivolously. And we are in the financial state we are because of our department heads, our mayor, our finance director, everybody who works together in the city. And it's amazing how well you guys do such an awesome job. And so I'm proud to report that finance meeting right there. I also attended the ARB meeting last Thursday, and small agenda, two things. The library is getting a new sign. It's going to look pretty much the exact same. It's just going to be much more detailed in the pixels. It's going to be just a much nicer red sign. Interestingly enough, I learned that as it gets more detailed, it has to be less bright, so it might not be as bright of a sign. And then same thing, I'll piggyback off what Councilman Barr said. Pepperell Fuchs was also at the ARB meeting talking about the exterior design of the building. It's an absolutely beautiful, beautiful design, and it really is. And it's awesome that the city works so well to keep them here in Twinsburg. They're relocating in Twinsburg. They loved it here in Twinsburg, and being that it's such a, it's a national company, it's a world international company, they could really go anywhere, but they wanted to stay here in Twinsburg, and I think that's absolutely fabulous. And the building's a beautiful design, and kudos to that company for bringing in designs that, according to the ARB, some of the best they've ever seen. It was just really well done. So shout out to them. And the next ARB meeting is on February 1st, if there are companies that need that. Other than that, I have nothing, and that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Post. Ms. Labby.
Good evening, thank you. I went to the CIC meeting on January 11th. Of note, they received the Ohio Auditor of State Award for Excellence in Financial Reporting, which I think is just a great award for them to win and be able to display, because it just says that they are on the right track of what they're doing. And they're reporting, and they're very transparent. And that was for 2002, by the way. So kudos to all the financial reporting there. It wasn't just Rebecca, it was the reporting before Rebecca as well. So next meeting will be in April. I attended the finance meeting tonight as well. The next Twins Days meeting will be on February 7th. The next environmental meeting will be on February 2nd, February 6th here in council chambers. And the next safety meeting will be on March 12th. And that is all for me this evening. Thank you.
Thank you. I also attended the CIC meeting. The next scheduled meeting will be April 11th at 5 p.m. in council chambers. The next Park and Recs meeting will be on February 22nd at 6:30 in council chambers. And I would like to, we were speaking about boards and commissions earlier. We're advertising for boards and commissions. We're looking for residents to apply for multiple boards, and I'm going to review those right now. The deadline is February 14th, so on Valentine's Day at 4:30, please have already applied before that. Our Architectural Review Board has two openings. Our Board of Tax Review has 2 openings, and Capital Improvements is looking for wards 3 and 4. We have a Civil Service Commission opening for 1 member. Environmental Commission is looking for 4 members. The Jedi Commission will have 7 openings, and I think that we also talked to the law director about working out how we stagger those terms so that the whole board doesn't turn over at the same time. Maybe we do 1 and 2s or 2s and 3s, but we can work that out at another time. And lastly, the Park and Rec Commission is looking for participants to work for wards 3, 4, and 5. And again, the deadline, how do you get these? You go to mytwinsburg.com and you'll see that an icon to click in boards and commissions. Again, the deadline's February 14th. If you have any questions, you can call City Hall or any of your council people. We're glad to help you. We want you to participate. And that's all I have for reports this evening. And Mr. Scafidi, Mayor's report.
Thank you, Mr. Fury. Great segue you gave me there with your mytwinsburg.com, because that's the first thing on my item tonight. You know, for those that have not been on twinsburg.com, I want to give a shout out to Mark Katowski. We have a really new look to our website, and he's done a great job with that. It's much easier access to things. It's much easier to navigate through. And I think one of the newest changes that was on there is the calendar. We have a complete community calendar now, which not only shows things going on in the city of Twinsburg, but also some of the library events, the Rotary events, Chamber of Commerce, and so it's really a good website, and again, much easier to navigate through and be able to find anything that you're looking for on there. Also, and I haven't done it yet, but I'm told that even on mobile devices, it's much easier to read there on a mobile device. So, again, shout out to Mark for a great job that he did. Another thing that we have coming up is one of our first of many family outing experiences that we're doing, that we're launching this year. On January 27th, we have our dive-in movie, and it's Elemental is the name of the movie. And you could go there. It's in the pool area in the natatorium, and you could either swim and watch the movie or be sitting on the pool deck and watch the movie. And it's great family evening, a nice family movie. Haven't seen the movie yet, but I understand that it's about fire elements, a fire element family. And the father's name is Bernie, and the mother's name is Cinder, and the daughter is Ember. So I think that'll be a cute movie in a nice atmosphere for the whole family to go and see. Another thing that's coming up soon is our Twinsburg Community Night, and that's at the Cleveland Monsters, and that'll be on February 3rd. The Parks and Rec has secured a block of tickets for Twinsburg residents, and they'll receive a discount to the game. And if you'd like to, just go on the website for more information, and you could sign up for that. But just to go back to the dive-in movie, registration is required, and that's coming up, I believe, next Saturday is the 27th. So if anybody's interested, please sign up and get registered. Finally, I just wanted to mention it's time to renew your community garden spots again. That's been opened up between now and March 15th, and that's for anybody that had a garden last year. All right, can sign up and get their garden. All new gardeners will be eligible to purchase a plot beginning April 1st, and that can be done at the Senior Center from 8:30 to 3:30 in the afternoon. Finally, I want to mention that I just received information yesterday that we received a NOPEC grant this year. We've got I think it was about $28,900 that we received. And it's an energy grant, and so last year we used it to purchase a new vehicle, a hybrid vehicle. And this year we're looking at, there's a couple, we put it out to all the departments to see if any of the department heads had any good thoughts or ideas. And I know a couple came back already, the service garage is in desperate need of doors, man doors throughout the building. And that's probably about a $30,000 project. So that would be something that would qualify for that. But then also there's an LED lighting project that they're trying to do at the wastewater treatment plant as well. So we got it yesterday. We're going to give it a few days, see what other departments have anything coming up. And we may split the money up and give them each a little bit, or maybe put it all towards one project, one way or the other. But, that's nice that we get that grant. And so we're very appreciative of that. Other than that, that's all I have tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor.
Sure.
Are you have any department heads? We're here for
I do not. Oh, I do. I have Christina. I'm sorry.
Mrs. Conway. Would
She
you
was
like?
talking so much, I thought she was.
Usually you say last but not least is what you usually
Right.
say, right?
I never heard that. I don't recall that at all. Mrs. Conway, you have the floor.
All right, so I have two small items. The Finance Department and City Hall have been getting a lot of calls about residents not receiving their property tax bills. Unfortunately, Finance Department does not issue those. Those come from Summit County, so there is a phone number that you can call if you haven't gotten them. It's 1-888-388-5613. That's for the Summit County Treasurer and their fiscal office. So we've had to redirect a lot of residents to the proper place. And the second thing is, Mrs. Labby mentioned the CIC. So part of the funding through the CIC that the city provides, 50% of our transient guest tax, which is essentially lodging tax from hotels, goes to the CIC. In December, we issued, I believe it was around a $97,000 payment, and we will be issuing next week another $6,500 for the reconciliation of that. So overall, the city for 2023 will issue the CIC $103,000. And that's all I have.
Thank you. And the reason the city gives us the 50% of the bed tax is because part of the reason, if you're collecting a bed tax, you have to put it towards economic development or a visitor center. And that's what we've chosen to do, is to put that money towards an economic development program with our Community Improvement Corporation. So thank you very much. With no other staff reports, we're going to be into legislation. So we'll start with Resolution 02-2024.
A resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into a community reinvestment area agreement with Woodmont Land Company and Kitty Academy for real property tax abatement.
Okay. This stands on its second reading tonight. We'll vote on this at the next meeting. Resolution 04-2024.
A resolution expressing the intent of the city of Twinsburg in 2024 to sell by internet auction personal property, including motor vehicles and other property referenced in revised code 721.15, which are no longer needed for public use or are obsolete or unfit for the use for which they are required.
Okay. This stands on its second reading also and be voted on the next meeting. Ordinance 05-2024.
An ordinance amending the current year appropriations for various general, special, capital, and enterprise fund accounts as established in Ordinance 114-2023, the appropriation ordinance for the city of Twinsburg for the year 2024, and declaring an emergency.
Okay. So at this time, I'd like to make a motion to suspend the rules and place ordinance 05-2024 on its third and final reading. May I have a second?
Second.
Mrs. Walker seconds. Is there any discussion? Okay, the reason for the suspension of the three reading rule is because we want to get this going as soon as possible. We talked about this earlier when we went over this. So, any further discussion? Shannon, call the roll.
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
Mrs. Labby?
Yes.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Bonacci?
Yes.
Mr. Post?
Yes.
Okay. Now so the emergency, or the three reading rule pass. At this time, I'd like to make a motion to adopt ordinance 05-2024 as an emergency. May I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Post seconds. Is there any additional comment on this? Okay. We call the roll, please, Shannon.
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Mr. Post?
Yes.
Mr. Bonacci?
Yes.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
Mrs. Labby?
Yes.
Okay. So ordinance 05-2024 passes as an emergency 6-0, and 2020, or 04, 05, 06, and 07 are all related. So you're going to hear pools again. Ordinance 06-2024, please.
An ordinance authorizing the declaration of official intent under U.S. Treasury regulations with respect to reimbursement from note and bond proceeds of temporary advances made for payments prior to issuance and related matters, and declaring an emergency.
Okay. At this time, I'd like to make a motion and suspend the rules and place ordinance 06-2024 in its third and final reading. May I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Post seconds. Okay. Is there any discussion on the emergency? Shannon, would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Mr. Post?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
Mr. Bonacci?
Yes.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mrs. Labby?
Yes.
Okay. The suspension of the three reading rule passes 6-0. Now I'd like to make a motion to adopt ordinance 06-2024 as an emergency. May I have a second?
I will second.
I yield.
Mrs. Labby seconds. Okay. This ordinance, it basically gives the city's intent to reimburse the note and bond for a temporary advance, or actually we're getting some bonds to pay for the pool improvement. Any further discussions? Okay. Shannon, would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Mrs. Labby?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Post?
Yes.
Mr. Bonacci?
Yes.
All right, ordinance 06-2024 passes as an emergency 6-0. Resolution 07-2024.
A resolution authorizing the mayor for calendar year 2024 to utilize joint and cooperative purchasing programs pursuant to the state of Ohio law and declaring an emergency.
Okay. At this time, I'd like to make a motion to suspend the rules and place ordinance 07-2024 on its third and final reading. May I have a second?
Second.
Mrs. Walker seconds. Any discussion? Okay. Shannon, call the roll.
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
Mr. Post?
Yes.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Bonacci?
Yes.
Mrs. Labby?
Yes.
Okay. Suspension of the three reading rule passes 6-0. At this time, I'd like to make a motion to adopt Resolution 07-2024 as an emergency. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Barr seconds. Again, this would be allow the city to participate in a joint purchasing agreement for 2024. Any further comments? Okay. Shannon, would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mrs. Labby?
Yes.
Mr. Bonacci?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
Mr. Post?
Yes.
Okay. Resolution 07-2024 passes as an emergency, 7-0. Resolution 08-2024.
A resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into a professional service agreement with Burgess and Nyepel Incorporated to provide engineering services for the fitness center and declaring an emergency.
This time, I'd like to make a motion to suspend the rules and place ordinance 08-2024 on its third and final reading. May I have a second?
Second.
Mrs. Walker seconds. Is there any discussion? Shannon, call the roll, please.
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
Mrs. Labby?
Yes.
Mr. Post?
Yes.
Mr. Bonacci?
Yes.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Okay, the three reading rule passes 7-0. At this time, I'd like to make a motion to adopt Resolution 08-2024 as an emergency. May I have a second?
I'll second.
Mrs. Labby seconds. Any further discussion? Shannon, call the roll.
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Mrs. Labby?
Yes.
Mr. Bonacci?
Yes.
Mr. Post?
Yes.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
Okay, Resolution 08, 2024 passes as an emergency, 6-0. Resolution 09, 2024.
A resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into a contract with Windstream to provide internet connection services for the city of Twinsburg.
Thank you. This resolution now stands on its first reading. Resolution 10, 2024.
A resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into an agreement with the Ohio Department of Transportation to perform bridge work within City of Twinsburg Corporation limits.
Thank you. This resolution now stands on its first reading as well. And lastly, we have Resolution 11, 2024.
A resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into a contract with AtNet Plus to provide information technology services to the City of Twinsburg and declaring an emergency.
Okay, this time I'd like to make a motion to suspend rules and place ordinance 11, 2024 on its third and final reading. May I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Post seconds. Any discussion on the waiving the three reading rule? Shannon, call the roll.
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Mr. Post?
Yes.
Mrs. Labby?
Yes.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
Mr. Bonacci?
Yes.
Suspension of the three reading rule passes 6-0. Now I'd like to make a motion to adopt Resolution 11, 2024 as an emergency. Is there a second?
Second.
Mrs. Walker seconds. Is there any other discussion regarding the IT update? Again, this is a resolution that will enter into agreement with AllNet Plus for the co-management and live Office 365 and other IT projects.
Reviewing what was submitted to us, the contract and everything that we saw, it's quite extensive, and it's going to put the city in a better spot to respond to cyber attacks.
Excellent. Any other comments? Shannon, call the roll, please.
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
Mr. Post?
Yes.
Mr. Bonacci?
Yes.
Mrs. Labby?
Yes.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Okay. Resolution 11, 2024 passes as an emergency, 6-0. Now we're to unfinished business, new business, and miscellaneous. Mr. Barr,
Nothing for me this evening. Thank you.
Mr. Bonacci.
So as a new member of council, I've attempted to dive in, and I'd like to thank my peers on council as they helped me understand the role, the responsibility. I'd like to thank Shannon for reviewing legislation with me before meetings. I'd like to thank Mayor Sam for allowing me to interact with your department heads to get a better understanding of how the city works. I'd like to share that next month I have meetings in I'm calling them orientations, with our fire department and our service department to have a better understanding of what those departments do and how I could serve on council to better support the men and women who work in those departments and help get them the resources they need. Looking forward to attending the Ohio Municipal League newly elected council seminar that's put on for folks like me to get a better understanding. It's a lot of stuff to process, more than without your help, I wouldn't do as well. So everyone that's helped me, I appreciate that immensely. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mrs. Walker.
I have nothing, thank you.
Okay. Mr. Post.
I have nothing. Thank you.
Mrs. Labby.
Nothing further for me, thank you.
And I have nothing as well. Mayor Scafidi.
Nothing further tonight, thank you.
Mr. Vazana.
Nothing further, thank you.
Okay. Mrs. Conway.
I think I've said enough today.
All right. Mrs. Collins.
Nothing, thank you.
All right. Hearing nothing else. Oh, excuse me. I'd like to make a motion to excuse Greg Bellin from tonight's meeting. May I have a second?
Second.
Okay. Mr. Bonacci seconds. He is away on a work trip. Shannon, would you call roll, please?
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Mr. Bonacci?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Post?
Yes.
Mrs. Labby?
Yes.
Okay. Hearing nothing further, I'm going to adjourn the meeting at 8:06. Good evening. Thank you.